Chargers team preview. Only person to go to, Matt Money Smith. 3 to 7, Petros and Money Show, AM 570 LA Sports, and play-by-play for the Chargers. Matt, you've joined us before. You do an amazing job. I want to start with the wide receivers. Quentin Johnston, the draft pick, number one, for first round here pick for the Chargers. They have Keenan Allen. They have Mike Williams. I am very high on Quentin Johnston. 575.5 is a receiving yardage prop. That's like 33 yards a game, Matt. Talk to me about the target share here in a fantastic Chargers offense.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mike, I think best case scenario is he doesn't hit that. You know, it means Mike Williams and Keenan Allen stayed healthy all year. You know, Austin Ekeler is still getting a ton of action out of the backfield. Gerald, Everett is building on what was his best season as a professional. So I think best case for the Chargers would be not a lot from Quentin Johnston as they continue to watch him develop and become a great pro and perhaps replace one of those two guys that are making a whole lot of money right now. However, talent's undeniable. When you saw him, I know they're just kind of running around and it was mini camp, but you see how big he is. You see the wingspan, and you know that last year they really struggled in yards after catch from their wide receivers. So I could see Kellen Moore dialing up a lot of those just quick hitters to him. If you're going to pay attention to Keenan and Mike because they have the reputation, here's a guy that's getting one-on-one. He gets those quick slants like he did at TCU, and those can go to the house. Get a couple of those, and that gets you your prop number and hits the over, you know, probably in a hurry, you know, because of all the attention. And you know, the other thing, Mike, is like Justin Herbert is not, I don't know the best way to put it. He does not have eyes only for Keenan or Mike, or he has always been someone that has found the open guy, whether that was Teron Johnston or if it was Jalen Guyton, or he's been great like that. Donald Parham, like he just will find the open guy. So if Quentin's open, then yeah, I could totally see why you could be sweet on the over there.
I am very high on this Charger team. Kellen Moore coming over from Dallas, exciting. And you think about what he can do with this offense. And Matt, you know better than anyone, they have some big-time games coming up here. They have Dallas, which is going to be fantastic, week 6, the Kellen Moore revenge game, if you want to go there. They open with Miami. They have Detroit, New England, Denver. So many exciting games coming up here. Talk about what you think Kellen Moore will bring to this offense, which was already fantastic and already talented, but could maybe skew even more pass-heavy.
Well, I hope what he brings is not last year, because last year was tough. And in fairness to Joe Lombardi, the team was just destroyed. You know, lost his left tackle in week 3 and Rashawn Slater. So now you got a rookie over there. You've got Trey Pickens, who took a big step at right tackle, but you got to figure out how to protect. Nobody got pressured more than Justin Herbert, so the ball had to come out quick. It just had to. And on top of that, you know, Justin hurts his rib cartilage in week 2, and come to find out he had a shoulder issue all season long as well. So I think in fairness to him, there were a lot of things that led, a lot of mitigating factors that led to the low air yards per attempt. I think 3rd lowest of all the starters. But so I think just that is going to the health, and hopefully Rashawn Slater for a full season and Mike and Keenan on the field for more than 5 games together. That's going to help. But you look at what Kellen Moore did in Dallas and the numbers that they put up and the way they put it up. And I think what we're going to see, at least just sort of taking away and looking at Dallas games, Cowboy games for the last 2 years, he mixed it up a lot. You know, there were games that were really run heavy and there were games that were really pass heavy. Now, the Chargers don't have Zeke and Tony Pollard. So it leads me to believe that now you're going to play to your strengths. And that's probably a lot of Keenan Allen and a lot of Mike Williams and a lot of those other players that are going to get one-on-one coverage that hopefully will make the most of that coverage. He's a smart guy, and I know he and Staley really hit it off last year at the joint practices when the Cowboys were out in training camp. And I think you're talking about someone that's going to have, for the most part, complete control of that offense. It's his, and it was Joe Lombardi's last year, and I think that's why it's fair to just look at what the Cowboys did the last couple seasons and what he likes to do and try to apply that to what the Chargers have going. And you're probably going to feel pretty excited about a lot of air yards, big numbers for Justin Herbert this season, as long as everybody stays healthy.
Now let's look at the backfield. It's fascinating. I'm in New York here, Matt. So, of course, Saquon Barkley doesn't sign the franchise tag. And there's all these memes and things on social media about all these running backs, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, all these guys still out there now. Austin Ekeler had some issues with his contract. He's been the most pretty, he's been a touchdown machine the last few years. Talk about this backfield, about Eckler's mindset, and how you think the touches in the backfield will go here with Austin Ekeler coming back here for what is really a Super Bowl team to make a run here.
So for Austin, it worked out great for the Chargers because he accepted incentives and seems fine with the contract. Back in the building, was out at minicamp, has been doing interviews talking about how he appreciated the Chargers giving him the incentives because they didn't have to, but they did. So there's an extra couple $1 million for him to make, which looked to be pretty attainable numbers. You know, you look at, like you said, I mean, 38 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. Nobody's even close to that. It's 12 more, I think, than the second best person. So he's going to look to go into a contract year and certainly will come into shape in the best, it will come into camp in incredible shape like he has every single year. He busts his tail in the offseason. You do not get cheated out of a single cent when you're paying Austin Ekeler. He comes ready to play. But, something that he's talked about pretty regularly, Mike, is the need for a second back to step up. He has talked about how he gets worn down by the end of the season, and it's of his own doing. He's one of the best yard after contact backs in the NFL. He does not go down on first contact. So I think for him, the idea that Joshua Kelley could really step in, and I think he was on the way to doing that last year. For some reason, Joe Lombardi kind of was smitten with Sony Michel, who really did nothing anytime he touched the ball. And that was taking carries away from Joshua Kelley, preventing him from maybe getting into more of a rhythm. But I think they're ready to see him take that next step. And I bring that up just because I think people might get nervous if they see Kelley starting to take a series here or there and more carries, but there's still going to be a ton of touches for Austin Ekeler. I expect his numbers to be, I can't imagine another 18 touchdowns or something like 20 touchdowns, but I do think you're talking double-digit touchdowns, 1,100 yards plus from scrimmage.
So, Matt, you would say Kelley over Spiller right now heading into training camp?
I think so. Like, I don't know what happened with Spiller last year, but he just never, he never worked his way into rotation. I mean, they even brought Larry Roundtree up a couple times onto the active roster. It was, to me, I don't know the best word to use. It was a great disservice, I think, to both Spiller and the team to not play him week 18 in Denver. I did not understand that at all. The game had no consequence. They knew that it was of no consequence after basically 1 minute into the game that they were going to Jacksonville to play the Jags. They were locked into that position, and yet the guy got no carries. It's like, why would he not have a 20-carry game? Let's just see what he can do. We had none of that all season long. So, we're not at practice. We don't know what the practice habits were or whatever that might have been, but Joshua Kelley's someone that the team really likes. He runs hard. He's a different type of runner. He's just a north-south runner. You open the hole, and he's going to hammer his way through it, and he's going to put a beating on somebody that tries to tackle him. So I think they like that as a compliment. At the same time, he's in his last year of his rookie deal. Isaiah Spiller's in his second year of his rookie deal. You would think that they're going to give him every opportunity to take that number 2 slot from Joshua. I just think Kelley's the better back right now.
You talked about the tight ends, about how Justin Herbert looks for the open man, which certainly in the fantasy world we appreciate. Gerald, Everett, Donald Parham. Is it pretty much Everett? Is it going to be Parham? Because he's a talented, athletic guy as well. They really have 2 solid athletes here, multiple athletes at the tight end position.
Yeah, Parham, when he was healthy, was a load in the red zone. And it's just, the problem I think with their tight ends is I don't know where to slot them in the fantasy world. Like, are they a borderline tight? To me, what tight ends put up. You either have one of the exception, it's Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, and then you kind of take that step and you're like, all right, I think we can get Goddard to almost get there. And I think Everett's in that sort of third tier. If you feel good about 500 plus yards and maybe 4 to 5 touchdowns, the Parham, like I said, if he was not healthy last year, he was concussed. It was bad. Took him a while to get back into it. Ended up getting the 1 touchdown last year. But I do know that Justin's got eyes for him in the red zone. He is always looking for him because this guy's 6'9". I mean, he's a legit 6'9". So it's like that is very hard to contend with. So I don't think there's anything wrong if you've got 6 bench players or whatever, and you want to stream defenses and kickers every week. And I don't think there's anything wrong with grabbing them and just seeing how that first week plays out. But Everett had a good year. That the one issue with Everett last year was that he did have issues with drops in critical moments. For whatever reason, fair or not, critical moments of games, there were some drops out there that really hurt in the moments that they happen. And I don't know if that led to, Herbert maybe just having that seed planted. And I think you saw some games where he just started going away from him a little bit. So I'd be a little concerned about that.
Matt, incredible stuff as always. Last question, we'll get you out of here. Folks, got to follow Matt on Twitter, Matt Money Smith. It can be offense or defense. We're heading into training. We're heading into preseason here, training camp. Teams are going to start coming in next couple of weeks. Real exciting time. Who would be a rookie or a player on either side of the ball that you think we should keep our eye out here for the Chargers? Someone who can make an impact either way. Someone who's like a sneaky player who, as the Chargers season goes on, they make a run here. Somebody who could make a big time impact, because we love, preseason DFS, all this stuff. We love watching these guys here. Who's someone you think is under the radar, maybe a rookie or someone who's coming back that you think could really pop this year in training camp for the Chargers?
Yeah, I think it's not a rookie or something. Well, it's tough because they're so veteran laden. This is a team that wants to win a Super Bowl now, so there aren't going to be a lot of rookies that get a lot of action. I do think, depending on how this plays out, and it's not a hard name to throw out there. The guy had 3 interceptions in the first half of a wild card game, but Asante Samuel just has got a nose for the ball.
Yep.
And to me, if you have JC Jackson healthy, and he feels a lot. And I think that's the thing that people forget when they kind of went after that deal last year when he was not playing well. They said, oh, look, they're not letting him play the way that Belichick let him play, and it's the wrong system, and this is a mess. He was hurt. He had that surgery on the foot in training camp. Then he came, right before training camp, and he gets out there and he just wasn't healthy. So I say that because I think if you have JC and Michael Davis and Asante Samuel out there, quarterback's got to throw it somewhere. And Michael Davis was one of the best corners in football over the final 6 weeks of the season. So I think if you get he and JC out there and Jackson's playing to that level, you might see him taking some shots in Samuel's direction. And I could totally see him piling up a whole mess of interceptions because he really does have and he's a gambling type corner, Trevon Diggs like corner, where he's going to give up some big plays, but that's going to get him some interceptions as well.
It's such a great call. Brandon Staley's got a great defense and a secondary that maybe across the NFL is even underrated. Folks, Matt Money Smith on Twitter at Matt Money Smith, 3 to 7 Petros and Money, AM 570 LA Sports, and of course, play-by-play for the Chargers. Matt, you are the man. We love having you here. Exciting time. I'm very high on the Chargers. You can tell. We'll look forward to talking to you during the season.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.